All right, what's going on, Arcs? I am CingKazma, and this is Anamana, and you're listening to Oracle Fleet. Anamana, how you doing, King?
Not too bad. Hope you're doing well.
That is awesome to hear. This is episode 8, 9. My numbers are whacked up. 8. Okay, cool. I'm looking at 8 like 9 because I'm actually stupid. Of your weekly podcast for PSO2 news and information, especially for the global server. And today here we have Krono Katastrophy and CammyCakes themselves, the honorary duo of PSO2 YouTube. How you guys doing today?
Excellent.
What's going on?
So, now we do know, much as Krono, we do know you, Cammy. You guys are both from Destiny community, if I'm correct, right?
I'm from Destiny community. I don't know about Krono.
More Cammy than myself. I played Destiny 2, but didn't stick to it super long. I'm more like from the Final Fantasy 14 community.
Oh, really? Oh, see, we got to talk because I know you saw that announcement not too long ago.
Yes, I did.
And I don't care about Sage. I just want Gunzerker. Listen, Gunblades. That's all I want. Okay, cool. We're going to talk about this. But no, seriously, thank you guys for joining us today. I know yesterday we had a bit of a hiccup. I had some mandatory work stuff, and you guys making the time to come through today. I really do appreciate it. Anamana, how are you doing today as well, man?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I actually slept well last night, so I'm good.
Oh, you slept?
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's imagine sleeping.
It's a fever dream.
Fair enough. So, quick questions. Would you mind if we ask you all some questions for the day before we got into some nitty gritty?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. So we'll start with you, Cammy. When did you first start with the Phantasy Star series?
I started on the GameCube with episode 1 and 2. I played through every class, and I ended on the Ramaral. That's the Ranger female. Had like a good mix of shooting things, but also support spells.
What do you think the worst was? Because I always feel like what was the caster human male? Was it Humar? I can't remember.
The cast human was it HuCast?
No. Like the magic user, the tech user.
The human male.
Yeah. I feel like that was
the males in PSO episode 1 and 2 didn't have as good of support spells that you found were very valuable in ultimate mode. So yeah, this is like what started on mostly female character, and we hold that tradition through in global today.
Mm-hmm.
Guilty.
Yeah.
So honestly, I want to go back and play them. Is the Clementine, is that basically the episode 1 and 2 on the GameCube, or is that something else entirely? Is that like a Blueburst remake?
That's Universe.
That's Universe. So that's the Xbox 360.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, not
That's
360.
the in-between era.
Yeah,
Well, it's 360 and PS2, I believe, if I remember correctly.
PC, but
Oh,
we've only
PS2 had
got.
it too?
We don't talk about it.
Oh. It was that bad?
Yeah, it was not long lived.
Oh Lord.
Let's just say though, from like even episode 1 and 2, I was hooked on this series. I played Universe as well, and I was just praying that PSO2 came to North America for many years. Every year I was like, this is the year that it comes to North America, and eventually till I'm like a skeleton just waiting at the keyboard.
Pretty
And then in
much.
2020 they hit us with that E3. When I heard the little fanfare horns of the PSO theme, I was like, no. I wish everybody could have been a fly on the wall.
Yep.
I'm sure you had a similar experience when you heard that.
I mean, when honestly, when I heard it, I jumped out of my chair because I've been trying to get my friends, like my personal friends that like IRL, I've been trying to get them to play this game for a very long time, and every time I showed them, they're just like, it's cool, but I can't defeat Capture Boss, so I'm just gonna wait. And then when that happened, I was like, now you guys get to experience greatness. Anyway, I sounded like an evil boss.
Yeah.
So, Krono, when did you first begin your Phantasy Star adventures?
Wow. Okay. So Phantasy Star for me started on Universe actually. So Clementine's kind of more my jam. I originally played Phantasy Star Universe way back. I don't want to say when it first came out to the Xbox 360, but it was shortly after. It was a time that I I'm sure some of us know of these times when I worked retail back in the day. I actually worked at GameStop for about 4.5 years. And one of my customers, yeah, exactly. And I worked in a mall too, so it doesn't make it any better.
Oh, no.
Basically the size of like a regular store that you guys would go into, ours was like half of that. So it was even just lived in a shoebox. Great. But played Universe a ton. Funny story, I was a ranger back then. I played
Let's go.
Like I was all about rifle TMGs. That was my jam. I remember my my claim to fame with like making money in that game was, for those of you guys who remember Universe, the Adana Dagana cannon was an S rank cannon, or an S rank laser cannon that came out of the Adana cannon. It was really rare. I ended up actually getting 2 of them, made 2 boards of them, made 2 of the launchers or 2 of the laser cannons, and I ended up grinding them both to 10 out of 10. And if you guys remember, like the grinding system from PSU was the not the old version of it, but the newer version where it was like the out of 10 system, where basically you wouldn't lose the entire weapon, because that was a thing in PSU for a while. If you like were upgrading a weapon and it failed, you lost the whole weapon. So that was an awful time to be a PSU player.
PSG it was basically like the Dark Souls of crafting.
It was awful. It was to the point where you didn't even want to upgrade some weapons, and there were certain weapons in that game that you got one time and you never would get it again. Like there were some that were account locked, so it was insane. But so I ended up making 2 of those, and like sold one for like the equivalent in PSU of probably like $1.5 billion, and made all of my money in the game that I ever needed. So played a bunch of that, and came over to PSO2. A buddy of mine convinced me to play. It took a while. It took me a little bit. I played back in episode 3. Couldn't really like get on board. It was like I had the old mindset of people that come into the game like, you know, from the beginning, where it's like, oh, I like this weapon, I like this weapon, so I just picked these 2 classes and put them together, and tried that, and it didn't work. So I always joke around. It's like, I know you guys want to play Bouncer Fighter, but I'm telling you, I've tried it. It's not the thing. Not for what you're trying to do, at least. But
I've been there too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had that little bit of an idea from other games that we've played. But ended up coming back in episode 4, streamed a ton of the game, and then much like Cammy was saying, when I heard that fanfare play during the Xbox presentation, I probably lost my mind. I was just thinking, I remember looking and finding out the website, the PSO2. I'm not sure if you guys know, there was a PSO2 website that existed for it coming over to the West for the longest time. And eventually it just disappeared. They took it down. Like it didn't exist anymore for about a solid, I want to say like 1.5 years, 2 years. So we were pretty much sure
that bookmark too, man. Like,
yeah, we were sure the dream was dead. We were like, okay, dream's dead. It's not coming. There's no way. And then all of a sudden it just popped up. And I remember trying to open the website up and it was just like flooded. It was insane. So it was
every
a good time.
emotion that a person could have felt when you heard that fanfare, I went through. The disbelief, the joy, the anger.
The disbelief definitely was there. I was like, they're not doing this. No, Xbox, please don't do.
First
don't do
word,
this.
no, it can't be.
Wasn't like there was a year as well where they announced it and then we were just waiting for like more news or something like that. Yeah.
The original announcement, yeah, the very first one, we were just like, we waited and just heard nothing. And then when when they announced it at the Xbox, we waited for a bit, and like for a while we hadn't heard anything, and then they finally gave us some more information. So for a little bit, we were thinking it might end up being the same thing again.
The Xbox one though, I figuratively like took my arm over my desk and wiped everything off of it. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for PSO2.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's finally time, buddy. You've waited 1,000,000 years for this.
I stayed blind to it as much as I could too. Like I'd occasionally see a video of what I now know as the mother fight, and I'd be like, wow, that's PSO, what the heck? That's crazy. I can't wait to play that. Click off the video.
Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't even leave that man a sub.
No. I didn't want to spoil it. I didn't want my YouTube recommendations being like, if you like this, you should check out Magatsu.
Our boy Cube Gatsu, dude. Good stuff.
In space now.
Yep.
So just as you guys were saying, you know, it's been a history with PSO, right? And even now, it's like it's been a year. Like shit, I've known you guys for a year, pretty much now. And through all of that, you know, you guys still play PSO2. So what is the one thing that keeps you all, or even many things that keeps you all coming back to PSO?
You want to go first, Cammy?
Yeah, you can go first. Mine's pretty easy answer. I'll see if you expand upon this one. I'm gonna start with the sentence and I'll expand after you. I played for a year and I still suck at this game. Like, give me another game that's the case.
Actually, you know what? I didn't plan on expanding based on that, but honestly, I feel that. A lot of what brings me back to PSO2 is really just like learning more about the game, getting better, challenging myself to complete more content. Even the content I've completed, just do it better overall. I know a lot of us have picked up Luster since it just came out. And I know Kaz is over here smiling with his hands like together and his evil laugh, like, "Oh, all of you guys want to come to Gunblade now." And I've been part of Gunblade since the very beginning. But some of us were playing other classes and looking at classes like Luster, like, "Oh man, I wish our class could do things like that." But of course, unfortunately, it's stuck with that one class anyway. But that's besides the point. I'm not salty in the slightest, I promise. But picking up Luster for the first time, and after being so comfortable with my class, and then like doing content that I had done before tons and tons of times, know what's coming towards me, and still getting completely bopped. Just out of nowhere. I don't know very many games where it's like, I mean, again, I mentioned I played Final Fantasy 14. I could pick up any of the 4 tanks and do basically all the content in the game. I main one of them, I can play all the rest. Granted, I can't play them as great as I play my main, but it's not like I'm going to fail content because I picked up that specific class. PSO2 is a completely different beast for me. Things are very, very different. That you have to approach them from a different perspective with different classes, and I think it's a lot of fun. And even though I don't always deviate from my main class, when I do mess around with it, it's always a completely new experience for me.
For real.
I very much align with that. It feels to me like the anime power progression, where every time I get better, the enemy also gets better. And I'm over here a year into playing seriously. I feel like I understand my multipliers in the boss fight, and yet I'm still engaged with it. And that's one class. I can play 12 other classes and feel just as engaged, or even maybe a different weapon on one of the classes. Like I know on like a 12, for example, I can take one pretty far. I haven't touched the other 2. But when I do, a boss is going to feel a little bit different. And that to me is awesome.
I feel like for me as well, there's this baseline level of understanding of PSO2 that you don't start with. Like you need to like put in some time and it'll click. Like the time I was playing PSO2 before the Western launch, I felt like I didn't have that click. And it wasn't until like maybe a few weeks into playing on the Western servers it finally like settled. And that didn't mean I was suddenly like a pro player or anything like that, but it gave me a little bit more consistency in playing classes in general. And as I was leveling each class, I feel like that slowly, like playing each class definitely helps you understand the game a lot better. It doesn't mean like you're going to be hardcore at one class, but it allows it so you get to the point where you understand which class you want to play, and then from there you got everything you need to know to go into that class.
I went through that too when I was leveling up each. I went through a stage where I was convinced that whatever class I was playing was the most overpowered thing in the game. No matter what it was, even Summoner, I'm like, this is crazy. And then I'd play Fighter. Once you go into Limit Break or whatever, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so strong. Yeah. Every class in PSO had a moment where I thought it was the strongest.
Except with Summoner, it's actually just the strongest. But to kind of parrot something what Cammy said, though, was like picking up a different weapon. That was something that was actually pretty big for me. I played Etoile on JP for a very long time and never touched Double Saber. Like, I just didn't use it at all. So I made a point of it, like, because I did the same thing with Bouncer. I played Bouncer on JP and only played dual blades. I didn't really play jet boots at all, only because I really wanted to play dual blades. Everyone knows I like the dual wield. That's kind of my thing. I'm not even mad about it. But it's as much as I dual wield as much as everyone says I'm edgy. Kind of just the thing that goes along with it. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to put myself in a position where I'm going to play more weapons. I always tell people that you should play every aspect of your class you possibly can to get the most damage out of it. I'm just going to do that. That's what I did. I picked up Double Saber, and Etoile was a completely different game. It was absolutely completely different from what I was used to playing when it came to the other 2 weapon types. And it's crazy how just one weapon swap makes all the difference.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
What about you?
I know even... honestly, just to top on what Krono said, I know, like, for one thing, it's like a change in weapon can completely change how you do your entire build just because of how the class works. Like when you're doing jet boots, but if you decide to go dual sword, if you really want to maximize on it, you have to completely change your skill tree. That means you have to completely rework how you play. And that's actually what keeps me coming back to PSO2, honestly. It's just having, like, even right now, figuring out and trying to master all the different classes, especially with Gunblade, because of so many choices that you have with Luster. Which is why, like, I was just doing the PD run, is because I actually did it twice today and I died 5 times. For me, especially someone who comes from the fighting game community, I don't like that. I don't like having to face that defeat, even if I get the win, but I still messed up multiple times. So with PSO2, it's just like you have that ability to just kind of get back up, go back in there, run it again, and keep trying to hone your skills as much as possible. So I went back in it again because I was like, no, I can't go to sleep without getting back in there and running it back. And I got to run it back, and I feel so complete. He'll probably never see me again because I got that one victory, and I leave just like fighting games.
Just get that dub and run. Just get the dub and run. There's no retry. We're not replaying. No, we're done.
Darkfall is about to catch these hands.
So I mean, with that, that's what it is. It is the appeal of wanting to do better, even when you're already, I guess, what they call me, Gunblade God, but I don't believe that. I believe I actually still suck, and there's still a long way to go. Is there enough time? No, but we'll do what we can.
Yep.
So I think before we hit the record button, I heard Krono say something, and correct me here. It's not about playing the meta as much as it's about understanding the meta. I find that keeps me playing PSO2. Would you agree with that? Is that how you worded it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. It's there's a difference in playing the meta and understanding it. It's definitely a lot about, I mean, you can, and actually it's kind of crazy because you bring this up, because I didn't mention this before we recorded, but it was a lot of your video going for the whole tanky thing. I remember streaming one day and someone links me this video and they're like, yo, have you seen Cammy's video he did about his like tanky maid build? And I was like, at first, I mean, I've always come across this because I streamed PSO2 for so long. I've streamed it for like, for a good chunk of time before it was even thought of those coming over to the global servers. Well, like there was no one else even in the category. It was like me, myself, GM Custom, and a couple other people really that were in the category, and that was about it. Just a few of us. And to my when I heard it, I was like, oh, whatever, just another tanky build, not really that big a deal. But then I actually watched the video and I saw like how you built up like your character. I was like, okay, this isn't on meta, but like if you were to ever try to build something like this makes the most sense. And that's kind of like the understanding, the kind of the cool parts of PSO2, where you can do things like that. You can have something where it's like, all right, this isn't on meta, I'm not going for just damage, but I can set this up so it makes sense and I know what I'm going for. And it's actually like, well, like you didn't just go full on an HP, you had defense put into place. Like you had a lot of things that people just don't think about when it comes to PSO2 because you understood how the game itself worked to that extent. And I think that's
kind of what I'm getting at here for what keeps you playing PSO2. For me, it's like earning the baseline skill and understanding to explore even more of the game.
Absolutely.
That's the way I'll word it.
When you were saying about learning the meta and stuff and understanding it, it always makes me think of like people put this very heavy weight on if you buy really well or affix really top level gear with really good stats, that's pretty much the baseline you need. But skill and understanding meta is basically a skill. It's like you can get given the keys to a Ferrari, but do you know how to drive that Ferrari and how to control the speed on corners and stuff like that? Like it's sure you've got the equipment and stuff like that and you've got what the meta is, but unless you actually understand the meta, then you're technically not even playing the meta.
Exactly. It's
kind of
playing.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say exactly. No, you just have to understand how to play to it.
So this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Was like, we get so used to, and this was kind of made. This rant was made around Luster, but it's still a basic understanding of video games, right? We get so used to watching people play, and we try to enforce what one person does and make that like the core thing just because it works, and we don't actually try to innovate and do better. So like recently I've been taking myself into rock bear training and trying to learn my own Luster combos, because right now everyone's saying like Ada's combo, it's like that's one combo. You know how many options Luster has? So like that's not the only combo out there. We have to kind of take it upon ourselves to use that as a base and innovate for more. Otherwise we kind of just get stuck in that one motion, things become boring, and then we don't want to be here anymore. So yeah, learning that, or learning the meta of a class, or learning more than just gear, at the end of the day you're still going to have to learn how to manipulate the class's abilities to your best ability so that you can get the maximum output of power, control of that class. And I'm sure that works with any video game, honestly.
Oh, huge. Yeah, it is. I'm going to expand upon that because I'm going to say my group play responsibilities change with my gear. For example, when I know I'm like geared an expansion or two behind, I'll be playing as like meta as I can, taking into account all of my multipliers and stuff. But as soon as I'm on like expansion parity gear, that changes my responsibility to now maybe helping newer players ease into content because I can play a little safer. Hope that makes sense.
That and yeah, definitely does help out quite a bit. Honestly, it's kind of one of the things I've always mentioned about how I play video games in general. My friends like to joke around and say I'm the tryhard of our group. I'm the sweaty one that goes in and tries to do all the damage you possibly can. I'm always looking for like the most optimal setup, so on and so forth. But a lot of that is mostly just so no one else has to. It's that way you can bring people along for the ride. I think one of the best feelings of all time, at least to me personally, and this goes into a totally other topic I'm not really going to touch on specifically, but like it goes into why I don't care as much about like my NPA as I do about myself. And not so much like I don't care about their success, is like I don't really care too much about what they're doing, because I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform as much as I possibly can in an NPA, because it just allows people to move along forward. And some people are like, well, you're just trying to carry, blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's fun knowing that maybe I am just trying to carry, but it's nice knowing that I can. It's nice knowing that no matter what we go into, I know that we're going to be able to make it through. That if there are just some of my friends there that just want to have fun playing the game, awesome. They can just have fun playing the game. I'll be the sweaty one. I'll jump in and try and do tons of damage. But there's one thing you can't ever say is that I'm not doing that specifically. There's very, very few situations where I'm going to take that and push that onto someone else. Like, exactly. I'm not going to tell you, hey, dude, this is what you have to do all the time. But I'm going to go for it. But that's just how I like to. I like to build for myself personally. And I think I find that to be super fun. Someone may not find that fun, but that's a lot about kind of what Cam was touching on. It's all about perspectives. A lot of times we tend to not look at things from outside of perspectives other than our own. We don't look at it from the other side of someone else's side of what they're looking for. What was it, Kazma? You just said people people consider you like Gunblade God, but you don't think you're that great at it. Your perspective is you still have a lot to learn. Someone else has no idea what they're doing, sees what you're doing, they're like, holy crap, how is he able to do all that sort of stuff? Yeah, I find myself to be someone who likes to try to combo tons and tons and tons of times and do tons of damage. And I look at you playing Lester and I'm like, he seems like he's kind of just almost autopiloting, and I'm a little upset about it. Just a little bit. I'm over here trying to play Lester and I'm sweating, dude. People know to watch my stream, I'm playing Lester and I'm sweating hard. I'm getting slapped for almost my entire HP bar at once because I'm totally geared for Edswall and having tons of extra defense. So I have no extra defense whatsoever. I'm getting slapped my whole HP bar, freaking out.
Why doesn't my smart PA button do that?
In addition to established metas, I also like to look at it from the developer perspective and ask the question, wait, why does this exist in the game in the first place? What were they going with here? Sometimes that is something unanswered, but other times it'll click and you'll be like, this is why they made it. And you incorporate that into the build.
Yeah. It's true. I do also like to think that for every meta, though, there is a counter meta. We just have to look for it.
Yep.
Yeah. You can play against, I've said multiple times, you can play against the meta if you want. Don't expect me to validate you doing less damage in some situations. I'm not mad at you for it. If you're trying to do something, absolutely go for it. There's some people that play off meta and do very, very well. I've got someone that jumps into my stream all the time that talks about his super tanky build where he does solo Sodom without even being all tabbed into the game. He literally just presses one fighter PA and just punches Sodom to death, and he never dies. It's hilarious. But that's what he wanted to do, and he does it very, very well. Granted, he could do it faster and better if he was doing something different, but that's how he plays, and it's insane that it works out for him. And that's just because he has an understanding of how the meta actually does work, just playing off of it.
I call that making the information play, when you just don't know and you want to find out, but then it's using that information to make it even better the next time.
Yeah, that sounds so damn smart as well.
Oh.
Oh man. It's kind of I like that. I'm gonna hang on. Where's my sticky note? I need to write that down somewhere.
Why you see that? I got another one for you guys. Y'all ready?
Okay.
You're actually gonna like this one, right? So, what is your favorite moment of PSO2? It's been a year. I know you guys have some good moments in PSO2 that you just want to keep in your back pocket until eternity.
So global or before that? Because I'm playing PS2 a long time.
Global.
Okay, that was gonna change it up a little bit. I have to think about it. Cam, you're up.
Okay, I'll go right now since I don't have to think about it. There was a point where the beta was having some technical server difficulties because, I don't know, maybe they didn't anticipate PSO being as much of a banger game as it actually is, but we showed up. We filled that to capacity. And as a result, they said, hey, the beta's extended. To which I said, I guess I'm not sleeping.
Cammy, did you know that I was in your chat that day as well? That first day when we were waiting for the servers to go online or trying to get in.
I was like playing Switch, just like waiting for it to go online. And I even made like a Destiny parody video where I'm like falling asleep, still hitting the like A button on the controller to log in.
I remember the what Destiny would be like with the PSO2 UI video you did.
Yeah,
that was
the
cool.
parody video.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I have to watch that one.
Yeah, I'll shoot you the link after this.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. It's well done. I have a roommate who's like a pro editor, and so I took him on the job for that one.
Because I was jumping between your chat and T-Rex's chat at that time because you were both the Destiny people that were really getting into playing it.
I still had no idea what to expect from PSO2 at that time, which is why I'm going to say that's my favorite moment. It was just the magic of exploration from the blind state. You know, all those years of being so tempted to just jump on the JP server, but not. That all paid off in those moments. And like the beta extension was like bliss. It's like I get to be in this world for even longer.
Absolutely.
And then they ripped the carpet from under us, right? Like pulled the table set and all the silverware still on there, and we're like, oh man, we have to go back to other games now. This sucks.
I don't even remember what I played during that time.
Oh, I remember. I played JP.
Oh yeah.
I just jumped back to JP waiting, man. But it was the worst feeling because it was like knowing that it kind of was that feeling of having a new console and having the game you wanted to play, knowing you were just gonna get another one the next day. Like I knew I was going back when I went back to global, so it was a little bit weird. And people have asked me all the time, why do I main global because of that? But that's something different, a different topic. But to go with the question, my favorite moment, honestly, it's kind of funny. It was the day episode 6 came out where we sat on stream for like 10 hours not playing the game, waiting for the service to go live because it was delayed for like a crazy amount of time. It was that feeling that everyone finally got when they're like, oh man, episode 6. Episode 6 kind of was the turning point, in my opinion, for PSO2 in general. It's where we started getting content that was fun to farm consistently. We got tons of classes that changed up the subclass meta over the entire course of the game. Like it wasn't so much that, hey, look, have you leveled Hunter? Because you're going to need it. It was like, hey, look, have you leveled 2 classes 75? Because now you have other choices of subclasses. It was just like a really defining moment. And it was all of us sitting in chat, hanging out, getting cross-server rated from Anamana from YouTube because he was finally just like, I've had enough. I'm going to bed. Yeah. And granted, I should have gone to bed because another note of that is I mentioned I played Final Fantasy 14. I hardcore raid in Final Fantasy 14 was doing week 1 prog that same week that episode 6 came out. So while we were waiting, I also studied for my raid on stream. It was probably one of my most fun times I ever had. Waiting for servers to go live. And I will tell you right now, I have never done that for any other game and probably never will. It was hanging out with the community. It was jumping over to Anamana stream. Like I literally pulled up your stream on stream itself and said, hey, in chat. And it was like, yo, go say hey to Anamana. Yeah. I was like, go say hey, dude. We're all waiting here, dude. It's the waiting room. Totally fun time. But it was just super, super awesome.
We did that with this recent update as well. Like we had I think it was 10 of us jumped in. And we were just on voice chat for like half an hour. Yeah, that was good.
Service to go live.
That was all of my online monikers and usernames when I got finished with the PSO2 beta. It was just PSO2 waiting room was my name for everything.
Mm-hmm. I've actually found that's the current meta for me is that whenever there's maintenance, go live about an hour early and you'll get like a whole bunch of people jump in because they can't play the game.
Yeah, everyone wants to get together to wait to play the game. They don't want to wait by themselves. And a lot of people, I think it's always funny, like, yeah, haha, I went to work, so on and so forth. I was like, dude, I was just hanging out here having a good time, dude, living my best life with all the rest of us that were looking at stuff. Granted, yeah, I was tired. I was really tired by the end of that day, but had a good time, dude.
You know what's
this
crazy?
Is partly why I play JP too, because you just log in the JP if Global's doing something.
Yes. And that's why, because I don't know. I don't like to just sit there. Like I'll be finicky, and I'm like, I want to play a game, but I don't want to play something that's going to bore people because I have a lot of boring games that I play off stream because JRPG nut, right? So I'm just like, all right, let me just go to JP. But I found it funny because before I actually swapped my schedule at work, I had to work every morning, so I would get on PSO when I used to do the maintenance at like 4 o'clock. I would get on PSO at like 3, and then get the maintenance done, and then hit the work, and that's so freaking tiring, you know. And then for them to put on maintenance, and then I have to go to work now, and I don't even get a chance to hop on for an hour because of that. So I recently started, like, I changed my schedule so that I can, you know, have that Wednesday to myself and just sit here and play PSO. But the crazy part is, it's like the last couple of times that it's happened, especially with like the 10-hour thing, I was just sitting here like, dude, I called out of work for this. Like, I could have went to work and then came back and then played still. Like, 10 hours. Like, that's way over an 8-hour shift. But honestly, I don't know what it is. It's just something about waiting for those servers to open that just makes it better. Like, I would dive into all of your chats. I know I rated Krono's chat the last time, and I'd be in your chat, Anamana. Cammy, I don't even be seeing you, but once I catch you.
No, that's because I'm on the Destiny directory until it opens. And then it's the swiftest logout you have ever seen, and it cracks my chat up. I'll be in like the middle of a match, mid a gunfight. They're like, "Yo, PSO2 is back online." And it's just like exit the desktop.
Exit desktop frame 1. Dude, he has a logout macro. He just presses the macro and logs him out of the game instantly.
Any percent PSO2 login, yep.
That's what you got to go for, dude. I expect highly for all of us to be waiting for the servers to come back up when NGS comes out.
Oh yeah.
Just beaming at our computers, just waiting. Literally the meme of "let me in" on the gate over and over again. But it's gonna be everyone. It's not even gonna be just one person. It's gonna be the whole community. It's like, let us in right now.
How much can you do a multi-stream link? Can we get like 20 multi-streams going at once and just have like a pre-launch party?
Don't get me wrong, if NGS is delayed but PSO2 servers are still up, I'm in PSO2. I'm just doing that. I still think it's a fine game, even with NGS existing, that I'm perfectly content playing it. Kind of like you were saying, episode 6 maybe is the turning point for PSO2. I am experiencing this blind, right? Going through all of it in this like 1 year time span of accelerated content. I didn't mind the earlier episodes of PSO2. Maybe I would have if I was stuck with them for years, but for that short time, it was still very enjoyable. I thought it only got better, that there was never truly a bad time to play PSO2.
I think
then again, I'm only on global.
I think only actually like towards the end of episode 5 and 4, there was like 2 weeks. That was about the lulls is the worst we had it.
Yeah, we had some downtime, but that's actually that's kind of the crazy part for me, was a lot of you guys that had just played global when everyone was joining into the game. Like, I remember talking to you, Cammy, about some of the game, like some of your experiences, talking with Anamana and Kaz, and you guys, people were talking about enjoying the game back in episode 3, and I was just like, man, I'm really happy. And I was like, why? It's like, because this is the most boring the game actually is, and people are enjoying it now. Imagine when episode 6 comes out, it's gonna be great. Like, there's so much better content that's gonna be coming out. People are gonna enjoy it that much more. It's pretty harrowing as someone who played PSO2 for so long, that, like, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. Getting stuck with I'll be real with you. Being stuck with Dragon, for those of you guys who did play or JP, being stuck with Dragon for like, I don't know, months, almost close to like months upon months, was pretty terrible. But
at least people learned how to pick up the sword and use it.
Yeah, that is true. They did, but I'll be real with you. Because of some of us over on JP, I won't say some of us, because of JP, Dragon doesn't have a death limit anymore. That was a thing that existed. And people just stopped going into content because of it.
What I will say is, like, crap, what was I about to say? Jeez. Oh, one thing that I do miss about like the old episode 1 through 3 is the ability to be able to farm as many high tier weapons as I want. The problem with episode 5 and 6 is that I can only get 3 Riverlands, or maybe 4, or I can only have like 2 Atlas CX, unless I take the dive and go try to farm for that 0.00 drop rate for Eternal Stone or something. I'm just like, I don't want to do that, so no. But see, back then, if I just ran a quest for like 15 hours, here's like 4 Revulsios in my bag that I can use for in-game content, you know?
How funny does that sound now? Endgame Revulsio.
It was weird for me, dude, going back, thinking of Revulsio. Milo Bright being my best Twin Sabers back in the beta was just like, I remember getting these for badges and desyncing them instantly, like just laughing at them. Like, now I'm using this as a weapon, like that I actually deal damage with. The value of some of the weapons back in episode 3 was just mind-boggling, because some of the balancing, the differences.
Yeah,
I didn't have the frame of reference. I had to, consult the Japanese senpais and ask them, like, so what weapon was the strongest at this time? They're like, oh, a red weapon. I'm like, we have what was it? Nemesis. They're
Nemesis
like, what?
weapons. Like, I can tell you this right now. Elder Rifle and the 12-star Psycho were not that strong for some reason.
No, they had a
were
different
just
potential from
way-
what I hear.
They were just way stronger. They were just weaker. No, it was literally they increased base damage for no reason. We don't know what happened, what was going on. I assumed it was like a PSU thing to bring people back in because Psycho 1 was a big thing in PSU. I don't know what about Elder Rifle. Maybe they just wanted people to play Ranger or something. I'm not sure. But it was just buffed for no reason, and we're just like, all right, well, I know myself. I'm like, all right, well, I guess Ranger and Force are just busted for episode 3 because they have the most busted weapon for a 12-star.
Aiming gun behind you always has been.
Oh man.
So out of everything, I mean, you guys all put in your fair share of hours through new content, right? PSO2
Mhm.
episode, like the newest content. Did anybody actually try out the Risk Realm extremes at all?
Yeah.
Of course. That's what I camped in day one. I was like, I want to do Persona UA. They're like, nope, not as profitable. I said, okay, XQ it is.
I actually released a video about doing XQ and did it on Luster, by the way. Horribly. I got bodied pretty hard, but I mean I completed it. So that's a thing. It's the first. So if I mentioned a while back that I picked up an editor, Weeb, 100% Weeb. He's editing for me now, and he it's his first, like, he likes doing meme content. So I was like, I'll give you some meme content to do, right? So the first one I've given him to do was my Luster XQ video. So that's been pretty well received and people are enjoying it. But yeah, XQ is actually really fun. I like kind of doing that more difficult content in the first place. So did that on solo Luster, and let's say that wasn't the first take of me doing it. All right, just let's say that was maybe like the third, fourth, sixth, I don't know, eighth maybe.
Is this the first quest we got where we're technically weaker than when Japan did it at the time in terms of our gear scaling?
No. Fall Leg, we had a stronger Fall Leg than Japan had on launch.
Oh, sick. Okay. That's
Falling
one of
at
my
great
favorite pieces of content in the game, by the way. So it's funny that both of these, I guess, is what I'm liking the most because this XQ is really fun.
Yep.
That's
So
cool. What about you, Anamana?
No. I've literally I was planning on changing all my I was talking to Cammy about this before we started. I was planning on changing all my ults to Luster because I figured I could just hold my attack and do the extended attack, or I could just smart PA, but I wasn't getting the damage output I wanted out of it. Like, so I figured that I just go back to hero, just do my, reload, Final Storm, reload, Final Storm, and that's going to be my ult. But maybe I'll hit up Cammy and see about rotations and stuff for a basic thing for not having to think about. Like, that's my whole thing is I'm in max time. So when I'm playing my ults, I get people saying you should play like this, and it's like, no, I'm playing my ults just as brain dead as possible, so I don't have to think. I can get through them in like 2 minutes, my dailies, and so that's all I've been doing lately. Is just trying to figure out which I want to go with, and also I've started getting keys because with divide quests being a thing, I want to at least get all my ults to 85 so that I can go and do divide quests across as many characters as possible.
Yeah, I mean, go for it.
Okay,
I'll go. So I was gonna say, like, a lot of classes in this game can be broken down and simplified into a way that you're still providing really good damage with low effort, and no one will ever complain about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Luster can be one of those classes where it looks like extremely flashy and intimidating, but you can solidify it down to just a very simple 2 PA rotation.
Yep.
And that surprised me.
You can do even simpler if you just switch weapons.
Isn't it like the sliding attack and then the standard, the brand extension, or I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can pretty much get away with every single quest in a game. Just double dash and brand extension or double dash flesh.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, the recommendation for me was from my brother. It was Fomel style. Move flechette into move extended brand, and that is a decent bread and butter that will do so much work.
I'll have to try it out.
Yeah, it definitely can be super optimized when it comes down to, like, I would say specifically Fomel, but like when it comes down to if you're just trying to clear content, you really like Flechet and brand extension are very, very good. I mean, like, Granted, Slug Scatter and was on the Hollow Point have their places for like, you know, range and like AoE and things like that, but like the other two, like Move Fléché and Bright Extension, very, very good for pushing out damage, and that's all we really need in a lot of cases.
So that being said, today is Piper, I think, so that means tomorrow I'm free to run XQ. Let's get that done, Anamana. Whatever class you want, we'll make it happen.
Wait, isn't there a drop we should be farming from Piper that we just discovered?
Yeah,
We shouldn't talk about.
We ruined the market.
Oh no! Don't put me on the spot like that, dude. Chat's gonna be mad again.
Did I mention Krono also made a tier list? No, I'm playing.
Just gonna put the fire under me. Have we mentioned that I just make content about like opinion-based stuff and just don't think of any of the consequences? No, I'm joking.
I did that with the waifu tier list. It's just people can't help themselves and have to comment. They're like, "Is this a personal attack? Did you downrate AO?"
I'm not sure what was it. Hello. Did you see what was it? I posted it on Twitter. It was probably my favorite portion. It actually talks about the tier list where someone commented, and I just clipped their comment and put it on Twitter because I was like, "This is the absolute perfect like representation of YouTube comments." Where it was just like someone, the long one where someone was talking about Fighter.
Oh gosh.
I laughed so hard because it was just like, actually, you're wrong. Fighter does more damage than the other two classes, this, that, and the other. And I very strictly state in the tier list that it is not just based on damage. I just based everything that I based the tier list on and why certain things moved up and why certain things moved down. But he just heard damage and he was like, my class isn't number one. Your tier list is wrong. And I was like, thank you for just being like the absolute perfection of what a YouTube comment is.
Yeah,
because
I feel that in my soul, man.
That's the thing. Is like you can
almost fell out of my chair laughing.
You can farm for like interactions just by saying something divisive, and people can't help themselves and will comment.
Oh my god!
The worst part is not even farming for like. The worst part is so tier list wasn't even like an idea of mine. Tier list was like chat said, "Hey, you should make a tier list for the classes," and I was like, "Yeah, haha, I'll do when I reach 50 subs," and then 10 gifted subs later. I didn't really think that was going to happen. I'd been sitting around 30 to 35 forever. So I was like, haha, yeah, okay, I'll make it acceptable. Reach 50 subs, we'll be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Then, you know, Twitch chat's a hive mind that all works together immediately. And
never underestimate chat.
Just not a single time. They just went in and I was like, well, I guess I have to make a tier list now. And then this is going to go on YouTube and people are going to be real mad. But
yeah, if y'all are doing it, I guess I'm motivated. I'll make me a meme tier list. I'll do the best rifle in PSO2 tier list, but I'm only going to do it based on size. But I'm not mentioning that. It's just the end result. They're like, wait, you only put the long rifles in S tier? Like, yeah, pretty much.
Because it's like Destiny. The longer the rifle, the closer to the enemy.
That is the case in PSO though as well. It really does work like that.
Really?
It's kind of crazy. I hate that. That's actually right.
Yes, and believe it or not, if your launcher is big enough, your Cosmos breaker goes through the floor.
Yep. Or if you're short enough to the ground. If you're wearing the right outfit. If you're short enough to the ground.
On Sodom, my small character can get a double piercing angle that I don't think tall characters can get.
And I'm max height as well, unfortunately.
That is super nutty. Wow.
It's like Odd Job from GoldenEye, if you remember that.
Also, Chad just mentioned this, and I'm gonna call your tier list cap if you don't do this. But if Avenger's not S rank on your tier list, dude, we're fighting. You're gonna catch the hands. That's the best looking rifle in the whole game.
Oh, for sure. Firearms is definitely gonna be the one. That's the one that looks like the Barrett.
I'll give you that. Okay. I mean, I'm not a connoisseur of rifles, but I'll give you that. I just like Avenger because I like black and red, and I'm very easy to please in that sort of sense. So.
No, that one looks great. It also improves the steady shot from what I remember.
I know nothing else of rifles, so good luck. I haven't played Ranger since PSU.
That's just like the full auto attack, which is fitting because it looks like a minigun.
Okay. Makes sense.
So, quick question: who actually reached level? You know, Anamana, you don't get to answer this, okay? I don't think Cammy. I don't think I want you to answer this too.
Oh no.
I think you both are just kind of cracked on this. But who reached level 100?
13 times.
I mean, I reached level 100 on all my classes except for 4 on the first day. So I didn't do all of them.
I didn't take that approach. I said, what do I hate leveling? Yeah, I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do.
I told myself I was definitely going to level, what was it? Etwell needed to get capped. I wanted to level Luster, and I wanted to level Bouncer. For the reason of playing Etwell, playing Luster, and playing Bouncer Luster. To find out if I wanted to figure out if I was going to change my main class moving into the end of episode 6. Spoilers, I didn't, but I leveled all those, and then I found out that I hit level 95 to 100 in one rainbow key and then a gold key afterwards. So I started leveling a lot more classes. So
God.
I don't like playing the subclass as a main class and missing half the skill tree. So if I can get that out of the way with my resources, I will do it. So for me, that was a lot of fighter in a 12 subs.
Yeah, my meta for leveling, we don't really have it anymore. I don't have it anymore because everything's 100. But basically, I'll go for utility first, so any subclasses, and also I'll get science out the way, and then I'll go classes I don't like, and then classes I do like. Utility in my main classes, and then ones I don't like, and then ones I do like. So bravery is one I don't like, so that gets done immediately.
You guys also noticed we've been seeing a lot of Dark Falls Elder as the urgent quest, and that has the hand section, which is really good EXP.
Yeah, they do that.
Maybe not as competitive anymore, but for an urgent quest, you're probably doing anyway.
Yeah, it's done 100% on purpose. I mean, people always ask, like, why is Elder up? And I'm like, because a new class came out or a new leveling came out. Like, that happens every single time a new class comes out, every single time leveling comes out. That's one thing I will say that I both adore and then sometimes a little despise about PSO2 is it is completely predictable with patterns. If you pay attention, you can take advantage of so many things.
So I saved my force and my ranger to help the alliance out. Like, anybody who needs leveling, like, hop in the backpack. Elder is about to catch these hands.
Let's go.
I remember we used to just like run Elder into like level 20 or 40 and then just go run Piper, and then that would just be it. Just run Piper till our fingers turn purple, and once we hit 75, just destroy those gold keys. Sadly, I still have a bunch of gold keys left over because all I did was say Phantom 100, Luster 100, Fighter 100. All right, that's it. We're cutting it. Nothing else gets love. Huh?
With the secret Discord tech, I hit you with a little bit of secret Discord tech. I know some people don't have EXP keys for leveling their low level classes, and a lot of time people want to use like the bonus keys to level them. One little trick you can use is the skill in Summoner got buffed to provide even more of the main class experience to your subclass. So you can do nice things like play main class Summoner and then subclass something else. Say, for example, if you're leveling like, I don't know, Luster on the first day, you didn't have any key or any tickets to use, but you did have that key they gave you. You can just subclass Luster and main class Summoner and have the enemies be super high level and then just kill everything while main class Summoner with like an all class weapon and absolutely destroy your leveling. It's super, super fast. So that was like,
so use it like a catalyst. That's smart.
Because the keys would scale to Summoner's level while also still giving your subclass a ton of experience. As long as you didn't bring your subclass over 80, you were good to go because subclass leveling always goes to 20 behind the max.
Why is that?
That's a really good tip.
Obvious, but just
I always
didn't think about it.
Yeah.
I showed it on stream and people were just like, you don't get all the experience. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even going to argue with you. I'm literally showing you how it works. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep getting the experience and keep laughing at you while all of chat tells you you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like just flat out, like completely like linked charts to show everyone on the JP wiki and everything else. Like, it's not like I just made this up. Like, you literally just level someone. Like, I know a lot of people from my stream, myself, and people are even in my even part of my my alliance. I almost said free company 14. Being part of my alliance, who their summoners are level like capped, and they didn't even mean to level cap it. It's just because they were using it to level up other stuff at the same time.
Makes sense.
So speaking of Krono being like mean to his chat and exploiting levels, let's talk about that shop you exploited, man. What's going on there? The market manipulation with blood weapons?
Okay, so I released a video recently talking about how you can create a key shredder. Basically, you essentially make a weapon to absolutely destroy bonus keys for every single class in the game. It does not matter. It actually works no matter what class you're playing, as long as the class, I mean, granted, this is expected you be at least main class level 80, that way you get the most out of your keys that you're doing. But essentially, it is the blood trinner. It has slide burst types, or has slide burst as its PA. And if you guys don't know about all class weapons, essentially all class weapons, most of them have access to one PA that they can utilize. Cammy is familiar with the process of using the blood spat, which is the launcher, which is also a really good way to do this, by the way. And it has access to divine launcher. Well, if you craft it as a type 0 version, it deletes half a room. Fun fact about blood trinner, has access to slide burst. If you craft slide burst at a very low PP cost, which I crafted one at +1 PP, and on top of that stack a specific S grade augment called, I think it's Lucent Domain 2.
Lucent Adversity, right? Or Domain.
No,
okay,
Domain.
You're right.
Yeah, this one gives you back 4 PP for every enemy you kill nearby. And that's basically every enemy that's within your sight range, essentially. And you just press slide burst with slide burst type 0, and it deletes the room, and you never run out of PP. And I showed that on stream like a bunch of times. People were like, "Oh, that's super cool. I've never even noticed that. Like, how'd you make it?" To the point where I was like, you know what? I'll make a video about it. So made a video about it and posted it and then got some fun DMs and a few ads on Twitter about the market being completely just cleaned of blood trainers, like to the point where they were up to like 70 mil. And I felt like kind of bad, but then I laughed really hard, like really, really hard, because it just shows how many people were like actually there in stream and like took advantage of it. And I'm totally cool. See, Chad thinks I'm mean to them. I'm actually nice. I gave them the strat ahead of time. And some people were just like, yo, when was that video going out? Cool. I was able to sell my blood trainer because I'd already used it. I'm like, you know what? I'm happy I could help you guys out. It's all about sharing the knowledge in the community. It's sharing the knowledge out to the community. If you want to take advantage of it, by all means, go for it.
And you know what? People like, I had the invade video, and like the problem I did with that, which isn't the same, is that I was like, this is probably something we're going to get, and we didn't get it. And that caused people to go out and buy out all the invade units. But we've had other people, we've had Azlara do the anime or manga eyes, mention that, and then people buy that. People know about this stuff. Like as soon as this stuff becomes available, people have the ability to go on Google stuff to have a look at VisiPhone. So it's not like it's hidden information for that kind of stuff. So it's just that the awareness grows and people just get FOMO that they see something that is good and they're like, oh damn, I didn't think of that. But instead they get upset and start to blame because they didn't have the foresight. I see. Like, because we had that with experienced weapon minis. As soon as that dropped and I mentioned that we can now upgrade our weapons using those, people were like, oh, Anamana ruined the market for Revolzio weapons. And it's like, but it was available. People could literally walk to the store and have a look and see those things were available, you know?
I'm gonna be real with you. If you didn't, I was going to. Like, I
And I
legitimately
would've
was typed aside something like to make a video, and I saw you made it, and it was just like, oh, well, it's out. We're good. I don't have to worry about making a video about it. Anamana's already done it.
Yep.
I keep an eye out for that kind of thing on the market. One time I noticed on a good leveling campaign day that the EXP 75s were not in stock at the usual price, and that they were like 100k more than usual. So I said, nope, we're not doing that. I bought me a stack of photon spears, and then I stacked them back at 20k so that the noobs don't, get ripped.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you can use it for justice. Sometimes you can use it for evil, but can't really. I mean, do you really get upset about a book giving you information? Are you going out there attacking books? No, I'm basically the book in this situation. All right, I'm sorry, but I'm just giving the information to everyone else.
And
like, fair, I did the same thing, by the way, Anamana. I mentioned invade units, and the only difference was I told people, I was like, hey man, I'm making this gamble. I don't know there's a guarantee that's going to give us a chance to upgrade. I mean, I feel like they might. They sort of did, but then they sort of didn't because they just gave us free ones, which I also lost some money on. By the way, we're all players. We all have to make the same, judgment calls that you guys do. So I'm sure everyone here has made a judgment call and it hasn't worked out for them.
Yeah.
But I did the same thing. And I definitely dropped, I want to say almost 20 mil on invade units. So, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Just to quickly chime in as well, I think King did have something to say, but none of us do this like intentionally to hurt the market. Like for me, with the invade unit, was the best intentions to say, hey, just a heads up, this is a thing. And I wasn't aware that people were going to go and buy out the market and try to price gouge people. I'm sure Krono didn't have that. I mean, I'm probably a case study for it probably happening, but I'm sure Krono didn't have that intention. I'm sure Azlara didn't have that intention. It's just, here's a cool thing. And then, yeah. But what were you going to say, King? Sorry.
So I was kind of speak on that a little bit because we do have one more section to go over, and I know we're running a little bit over time, so we might be like 10 minutes over. But like one of the things that I just wanted to say was like, I don't think it's any of you guys' fault that this happens, to some extent. I think it's just like JP people try to exploit the market, and then when you guys say something about it, that's like their defense to now they can't exploit that part of the market anymore. And when someone said that to me, because I actually went on Facebook and I encountered one of your haters, actually the guy that was posting all the memes, and we got into like this conversation, and I'm just like, yeah, it's not Anamana's fault. Like at some point, a good majority of players on global right now are all JP players or ex-JP players. If they see something that is like exploitable now, trust and believe they're going to spend it. There are people out here spending like $4,000, $5,000, couple hundred on AC points a day. Like they don't really care if they get to spend that extra money because they're just going to restock that money back into PSO2 anyway, right? So when it comes down to it, yeah, it's not any of you guys' fault. It's just the way the game is, you know.
Yep.
Everything just changes 24/7, and then if we hear something is great, we just want to go buy it. But then the other thing is, half the stuff you guys talk about is farmable. You don't have to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you do buy it, you're kind of doing it to yourself. Like it's your choice. It's no one's issue here but your own.
Remember PA Disc before the X Cube shop sold them?
Yes.
Yep, they were like 4 mil at one point, and I looked at them, and I had all these new Alliance members. So I said, all right, get in the car. We're doing some advanced quests because we're not buying those.
I did a video on that way back, like saying, here's where you can find the information to find these discs. And people like, oh, people shouldn't have, if they don't know how to find that knowledge, it's on them. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, that's, dude, I'm 100% behind that. Like, if you are someone who likes to figure out your market, like, you know, your corners of the market that you want to exploit, things like that, don't tell me, because I'm telling people. I'm sorry, I really don't care. Like, it might seem like it's irresponsible or anything along those lines, but I'm not a fan of gaining knowledge to do nothing with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to game the system. I'm not trying to get over on someone else. I am all about wanting to show someone a really cool thing that they can do, because guess what? At the end of the day, they're going to figure it out at some point anyway. Someone's going to do it. If it's not me, I'm totally fine with taking it, because you can be mad at me. It's not going to make me feel any worse about it, to be perfectly honest. My chat knows, anyone else who knows me, I'm probably just going to laugh at it. But like, when it comes down to it, knowing about this sort of stuff ahead of time is what makes me enjoy the game. One of the biggest things that came to me when it came to content was I didn't want other people to experience a lot of what I experienced when I played JP, making mistakes, spending money when I didn't need to. Like, a big one was like upgrading units when you didn't have to. That's why I made videos like your money spent doesn't always equal power gain. Look at different things when you're doing, like, those videos were made because I made those mistakes, and they made me not enjoy the game. The last thing I wanted was for other people to make those same mistakes and also not enjoy the game because of it, because I want this game to do well. I love PSO2. It's a lot of fun. So like, I want everyone to have a good time. So yeah, you want to keep your secrets, you keep them away from me, because
I've been taking that approach to the extreme. More just like, how tanky can we get, and is it worth the money? And then it's like, at the end of the video, no, it's not worth the money.
Exactly. It's like, I'll tell you straight
I'll
up.
spend
Hey,
it so you don't have to.
Absolutely.
One more thing before we do move on, like King was pushing forward. We can like let us go over time if we really want to. We've got like time for it, do we? All of us?
Yeah.
I've got time, dude. I cleared the schedule for the end of this. This is my stream for the day.
What I was gonna
I'll
say,
be holding that Piper lobby tomorrow. Like, we're in.
I'll come after work.
What I was going to say was that anyone that's crutching on something like selling discs or selling any item that's farmable, like I said before, you've got the knowledge to go and look at VisiPhone, to look at anything. Or if you feel like now something's overpriced and you can't farm it, you've always got actually more so for people that were crutching on very specific things to sell. And you've always got the knowledge that something's going to be coming in the future, and that you can quickly change that tactic and do something else. To get upset that something's now updated and people know about it, you're wasting time that you could be finding another method to make money on, rather than actually getting upset and you know, what do you call it, like hate posting all over the place.
Yeah, just being that guy that no one really wants to be around.
Yeah. Sorry, King.
Yeah.
What was the next topic?
We were going to get into some New Genesis talk.
Ooh, I like this.
What specifically?
I like the hold on. I just want to bask in this moment real quick. You guys just kind of sounded excited, like you're anticipating. I see Krono over there. He's jumping and dancing. I see Cammy's over there smiling. Look.
Have you seen them graphics? Like, man, it looks good.
So it's kind of hilarious. I'm so all about NGS, because all the things that I complain about in like previous videos, people are like, they're never going to do that. I'm like, I don't think you followed NGS, because they're literally doing exactly that. So this is great.
It's actually PSO3.
Yeah. I bring a lot of Destiny viewers into PSO2 for the first time, and a lot of them get halted and they're like, okay, the game's cool in concept, but man, those graphics.
Right.
But have you heard of NGS? And then I have to like sell on NGS.
Hell yeah.
It's like everything you're complaining about, NGS is like, yeah, we fixed that.
So how do you guys I will tell you, I'm gonna warn you guys ahead of time, okay? Yeah, I gotta make this like, this is a spoiler alert, okay? I haven't seen anything. Yeah, me personally, I cannot watch New Genesis content, because if I do, I am a very unexcited person when I already know what to expect, because if I look at it, my brain is going to start thinking of all the many things. So that when I actually see it happen, I'm just going to be like, oh, I saw that coming. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, right? So I have to see it in action if you want to see me like smile, get all giddy, and jump out of my chair, and then start over tweeting and play PSO about how much I love them. So I haven't seen anything. I've seen a couple of clips here and there, but nothing too heavy to like really give you information on the game. But how do you all feel about the cross beta, the cross beta, the second closed beta being delayed so far?
I think it speaks to how old PSO2 is. Because if we know the reason for the cross, you guys know why the beta got delayed, right?
There's a few reasons, right? There was a 60 frames cap problem where if you had VSync off, you'd basically be playing at 2 times speed, or something like that. There was also, they had problems with cosmetics and stuff, or maybe even just like characters information transferring across between stuff properly.
Right. So a lot of those things, it brings up the age of PSO2. Kind of when Cammy was saying, like, he brings over people from Destiny, like, oh my god, those graphics. Something that if you played enough games for a long time, I know some people who've played like the Fallout series and things like that. Fallout 76 at the very beginning had a bug where if you looked at the floor, you would run ridiculously fast because your frame was really, really high.
Yeah.
Like it was like that. It immediately made me think of that. And it's like, okay, cool. It sucks the beta is delayed, but like, I'm really glad that they're catching that in like the first beta, the very first one. People just barely had a chance to play it for 3 days. And they're actually like, oh, hey, look, there's this problem. We're going to fix it and push this beta back a little bit. Not like, oh, hey, there's this problem. We're going to fix it for the new release, but we're still going to release this beta at the same time. Because a lot of times nowadays, betas are used to basically like, hey, here, check out the game and get hype for it so you pay us money to play it. They're legitimately using a beta for what it's used for, is to test it out, which I respect very, very highly personally.
To beta out the bugs.
Likewise.
Exactly.
What I will say as well is that if people are in the mindset of like, oh, I'm angry that the game's getting delayed and I just want to play it. Like, I feel like the uproar, if it did release, like even with the next closed beta and it was unplayable, like maybe that they had 50,000 people this time, maybe if it was like 200,000 people next time and it's just completely unplayable because the bugs have compounded, people would be so much more angry if that is the case. So I think in like for every company, it's like you can't win. You're always going to have some form of disappointment, but I think the better mindset is we don't want a repeat. Not saying that this is a bad game or anything, but we don't want like a repeat of like what we recently had with Cyberpunk with the amount of bugs. We want that stuff fixed and playable, so when it does launch, everything's silky.
Oh god!
I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you guys, but as content creators for the game itself, I want it to succeed. Like, not even just from like my own personal growth standpoint, I want a fun game to play. Like, I want a really good.
I like the game first, then I'm a content creator. And to be honest, this is gonna be the unpopular opinion here, but like, it can keep being delayed, and that doesn't bother me. It's like, oh no, NGS is delayed. All right, let's boot up PSO2 and go fight some Luther. Like, I'm okay with that.
What people
do that for a while.
What people don't realize as well is that the more it's delayed, it means the more content the closed beta will get as well.
Oh yeah.
What about you?
I'm just hoping that the about the closed beta being delayed, for someone who hasn't seen anything and just wants to hop right on in and just experience pure joy, yeah, it does kind of suck because I'm just like, crap, it takes longer for me to get in here now. But honestly, as long as the game comes out and everything's fine, I have no issues. The one thing I hate the most about a lot of games, like you mentioned with Cyberpunk, is that, you know, especially this is free, so it's not that big of a take. You know, it's fine. You're giving me a free, great game. Come on now. But with stuff like Cyberpunk, it's like, hey, I spent $60 and I got absolute garbage. And this was like the biggest game you guys have been in development for a while now. PSO2 has been, New Genesis has been in development for a while. So it's good to see that even with the little mistakes and the small stuff, that they're like, okay, we're just going to push this back. Even the graphic update, we're just going to push it back. And we're just going to fix this before we release it. I'm just like, okay, just like Cammy said, okay, cool. So when's the next UQ? Because I'm fine here. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm so content with PSO2, and maybe this is because I just entered the game when Global launched, right? I haven't been on the JP side. I maybe haven't seen it for as long, but yeah, I just think PSO2 as it stands right now is already a solid game. I don't need NGS, but NGS is still probably going to be an improvement.
I will, because I want to give a little bit of representation to my JP bros out there, because I know a lot of people that have been playing JP for a very long time. an issue right now is they don't really have a lot of content to do. Like they have everything that we're getting, and they've had it for a while now. So
Wait,
it does
didn't
kind
they
of
just get a new-
delayed. What's up?
I was gonna say, didn't they just get a new boss quest?
No, everything was coming out with the graphic update.
That'll get
So
delayed.
like that got delayed. So like it does suck from that perspective of playing the game for that long. So
I can
what
see
a lot
that.
of people
Yes.
do miss on the global side is that we do like it's delayed, which kind of sucks. But we're going to be releasing on parity, like with JP. So we have things to do in the meantime that we haven't had a chance to do. JP's had a chance to do this stuff for a very long time, so it does suck from that perspective. So I can totally get like where where people are upset, because I mean I don't know about you guys, but I'm finding a lot of like since I've played and I talked to a lot of JP players, a lot of them are creating NA accounts. They're creating global accounts and they're playing on global to re-experience the game again. Like I know a ton of people that I've even invited over to our alliance that played on JP that are coming over to global to play for a while with the thoughts of NGS in the future and things like that, just so they have something to do, because a lot of us are on global. Like a ton of us are on global like now, and it's really, really cool. So I can get why some people would be upset in that situation, but I mean it's still definitely a good thing. We want the game to release in a good state. But I'm also the person that's just like, hey man, if you wanted to release the beta as just like a block with like almost no content, but I can go around and play, like I wouldn't be mad at you for it in the slightest. I would just totally be fine with testing that out for like the next couple months. Totally cool with it. Go for it.
So I'm gonna bring something up reflecting on the past year of global. I played this game full time. I'm a content creator, but I'm also like full gamer, right? I'll play 18 hours in a row and not even like break a sweat. Even I have been overwhelmed with the pacing of global. And I think that speaks to what the average casual player might be experiencing too.
Absolutely. I get so many people comment on it. Like I think there's a lot of people that don't realize that it's 8 years of content in one. It's like a watching the Lord of the Rings extended trilogy in 1 hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
That thing?
So I am overwhelmed, and it's kind of to the point where even if NGS gets delayed, it's cool because I have so much of a backlog of PSO2 to catch up on anyway. There's still modes that I haven't even touched on PSO2 as much, just because like even last week I picked up Hunter for the first time, and that took an entire day just to even get the basics down. And so then I see that Japan has like challenge mode 3, I believe, the third scenario, and I'm really excited for that. Yet on PSO2 Global, it's harder for me to even get the time to put together a 12-man group to do CM2.
So, random note that's a little bit off topic, but technically, people will say CM3. That's actually CM4. It's really weird, but if you go back really far, there was another CM, a CM3, that is all but been removed from the game. There's no like remnants of it ever existing, which is the weirdest thing ever. So everyone's gonna call CM3, but in reality, it's actually CM4, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Is there YouTube content of that? Because that sounds like a parallel universe.
I got to talk to a buddy of mine, because he was actually like, so people on JP who did CM all the time, like they experienced that CM. So that's the only reason I didn't even know about it existing, because my buddies who did challenge mode and stuff like that, they did that content. I didn't do it personally. It was like a limited time thing, and then like I got Thanos snapped from the game. I don't know why I didn't leave anything behind. They left nothing behind of it. And it's absolutely crazy how that ended up working out that way. But
that's the state of Destiny right now. They vaulted a lot of the content, so if a new player joins, it sounds like you're crazy when you describe things to them. You're like, yeah, this used to be a raid.
Yep.
What? This area? No way.
It's like there's no reason to show me.
Out of PSO2, I think I really enjoy the challenge modes, and I'm kind of hoping that they put that firearms rifle as like a camo or a weapon or something for one of the rewards, please. That would be sick.
So
that's the really long rifle that looks like a Barrett.
Yep.
So with challenge modes, that's something that I kind of wish that they pick up on. Like if we get that in New Genesis, I think that would be really cool. Can you imagine a roguelike New Genesis? Oh, God.
Yes. I mean, Cocoon content.
God.
There you go.
I would stop playing. It
For the viewers at home, challenge mode starts you off on like essentially a fresh level 0 character or whatever, and you are an all class. You are not like a braver, you're everything. You can use ranger skills, braver skills, force skills, etc. And you play this roguelike scenario, and it ends up being just extremely engaging, just overall.
Are you saying they
That's
added a
my
battle
short
royale to
synopsis.
PSO2?
Yeah, it's a PSO2 BR versus the enemies, basically.
I'd play that. If they kept it with the challenge mode thing, I would actually play that. just because I know I'd get an easy win. People just spam PAs until their PP dies. I've learned that firsthand from PvP mode. I will definitely abuse the crap out of that.
Oh, let's not talk about PvP mode.
So
Wait, that exists?
yeah. So Cammy, when we were discussing you two coming on, you were mentioning about what does parity mean for PSO2 and what does it mean as we approach NGS. What were the main thoughts you had on that?
Okay, so I'm very curious what it means for both of the games when NGS is fully fledged and released and PSO2 still exists on the side. Does that mean we're going to get an urgent quest in NGS and then a back-to-back in PSO2 and have incentive to do both? Are we going to have separate pockets of the community sticking to one or the other? I really don't know what this means. I don't feel like they've done a fantastic job of explaining exactly how the two are going to interconnect and encourage play on both.
Fair. That's actually fair.
I could see that.
Because like one of the things that we have a question about is some people are asking, this is a very important question. You know, like I said, people spend thousands of dollars on this game, and over the last 8 years, people on JP have spent tens of thousands of dollars on this game. So when you're really thinking about it in the end game, it's, you know, what are you going to do to, and I know because it's JP, they're not obligated to offer us anything, but on the moral side of like just understanding your player base, what are you going to do to get people to want to make that swap over to NA, where they feel as though that their money is going, what they've just spent is going to be appreciated, you know, to come back to NA, because we need to be able to have the same releases. You know, it can't be, oh yeah, JP gets raid 0, and then NA is just like, yeah, we got Uncle Sam again. Yeah, that's cool. You know, we can't do that. Because then it's just gonna feel like, you know, JP is just getting the cream of the crop and we're getting the shit another stick. And that's gonna make a lot of people want to go back to NA, and that's gonna split the community again. That's gonna make the game die, and then we're gonna be right back at square one with PSO2. You know.
So I think it really depends on how they decide to do content moving forward. I mean, I've seen games before release like, you know, a new version of a game and then have the classic version, and what a lot of the issue for a lot of players ends up being is they have so much investment in the original version of the game. Moving into a new one is kind of difficult. So I do want to like kind of give a little bit of a pat on the back to say again this situation, because I'll be real with you guys, they did PSO3. I'm gonna say PSO3 because that's basically what NGS almost is at this point, is PSO3.
Yeah, I'm okay with you saying that. That makes sense.
They basically did PSO3 the best way they possibly could have. Like, there was no better way for them to do this, unfortunately, because that's just the reality of this game currently. Because if you would have announced there being a new version of the game, NGS, you would have killed PSO2 flat out.
They would have for sure.
Separate, because I mean, you know, we talk about investing money into the game, right? Like Scratch and things like that. Because I'm sure you guys have this discussion with your chats or as content creators, people investing in certain things as far as like fashion or emotes or even their gear. I know Cammy and I probably talk about this about, like, you know, investing in their gear, upgrading, things of that sort. And they have more of a focus in game, where right now they're doing, I would say I'd give a pat on the back on the situation. Yes, we don't really know what's going to happen to PS2 in the basis, but they're doing a great job of, in my opinion, getting people on board to play NGS, because some of the most important things when you start out a game are moving over. The thought process, I can log into PSO2 and get on NGS when it comes out, knowing that I don't have to, I mean, it's kind of relative, knowing I don't have to look like garbage because I have all of my fashion that I want from the base game, is kind of awesome. It's probably one of the coolest things they could have done for the game itself, and probably the best way they could. I feel like they had no choice, almost it wasn't even their choice of doing it in the first place. They were probably like, if we want this game to succeed, we have to do this. Like,
I totally agree. Looking back on like history of other games that released, that just a schism of moving from one game to the other really hurts the player base. It's a hard transition.
And the fact that they're together, like they're combined and in the same game itself, granted, we can meme around about the fact that the game is going to be ridiculously huge because of its file size. We all know about that. But like the fact that they're connected means that technically we're still connected to that player base. Awesome. Mm-hmm. If you have people that aren't coming over to NGS, you've got your buddies that still play in base game. One thing that is going to be across both games is they mentioned your alliance. Mm-hmm. It's still safe. It's on both sides. It's on both sides of the game itself. So like, say I really love NGS and I'm playing NGS and I've got buddies that still play PSO2 base, and they're like, I don't really like NGS that much, I still like playing the regular game every once in a while. I can hop back over at any point in time and still play with them, and there's still content. Now, it does bode the question, are we going to have urgent quests? Are we going to have new content coming out? My guess is that it's going to be seasonal content. We're going to have seasonal urgent quests. We're gonna have things that pop up, probably some cool little events here and there, maybe some crossovers, something along those lines. But I think that's all they're really gonna do overall. So I give him a bit of a pat on the back, but I agree with Cammy when he says we do need to see more. We need to understand exactly how things are gonna go to keep people invested. And it's even harder getting people from JP over to global, because Kaz was absolutely right. There are a ton of people that are just like, dude, I spent like so much money on my JP character. I don't even want to think about going over to global and having to redo all of that. And I had people that I was like, you're absolutely insane from going from JP to global with how much you have on your main character. Because I mean, I have tons of stuff on my old character. I didn't care about spending money, because how I value my money when I spend on a game itself, especially a free game like this, is the time I spent playing the game. It's not, hey, I spent a bunch of money on this, I want my money to be valued like 3 years down the road. It's, I spent money into this because I wanted to pay the game at that point in time, and it's still there. It's not like I'm losing my JP account. I didn't have to delete it to make my global one or anything along those lines. I can still log into it whenever I want. So it still has that same value. Worst case scenario, if everything just sucks and they close down global for some reason, I can still go back to JP and I can still keep playing and having a good time. So none of that gets lost, but it is very difficult to get people to move between the two of them. So I think it'll keep the community together, but I am still wary about what's going to happen to PSO2 base when NGS gets up there and everything kind of gets together. But I am also really happy about getting on parity, because I don't want this anymore.
There was one thing, like Cammy and I know all about this, and someone mentioned it in chat, D Templark. Basically, like if we had this with Destiny 1, it would have been so much better that people could just play the game they want and stay in their alliance and chat between. But the other thing as well is that once we got the free-to-play version of Destiny 2, we had a massive outcry. Like, I've got a video going over like all this stuff with Destiny. I had a beginner's guide and all this stuff. But the one thing I constantly hear that drives me nuts is people saying, oh, but I paid for this game 2 years ago, and what do I get for it? We would have had that with PSO2 if NGS came out and it wasn't cross-linked. There'd be people just crying to the ends of the earth saying, I think it's fair, because the amount of money, it's different to like a one-time single-player game purchase, which is basically the story of Destiny 1, where you can appreciate, like, you can expect depreciation, but for something like PSO2, that content you're buying is pretty much evergreen and forever relevant.
Yeah, both very put. One thing I think is a goal for me is playing with other people in NGS and then saying like, oh, you think this is good? Let's go back to PSO2 and try this. Like, you think you're having fun now? Wait for PSO2. That's the goal.
See, I'm in the mindset of pulling people over. I've actually pulled people over from, it's kind of crazy. I pulled a lot of my friends over from JP. Like, they've gotten bored of playing the game. I'm like, dude, you really think you're kind of bored of playing right now? Like, you know how we always want to just do this fight and do that fight or whatever? Dude, come over to global. We have triggers and we can do the fight whenever we feel like it. It's like, that was probably one of the biggest things that was amazing about global that I played over on JP when I played on JP. You know how often we wanted to just do Persona? We wanted to just do like fight Elder randomly. Like, maybe, hey, we want to do a low man Elder run of like 2 or 3 people versus the 12-man version of Elder on like UH. We didn't get to do that often because it wasn't a trigger. That's something that's amazing about globals. We can just like, hey, let's just go over and do it. I'm pulling people over from JP left and right. Granted, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's happening, dude. It's working.
Huge. So I'm gonna be real here for a second. Say like the harsh reality of a game is making it accessible to as many people, and that maybe means spreading itself thin, and maybe losing a little bit of the identity that made the game special in the first place. Now, not gonna lie, even though I hope NGS does well, that is a fear that like real deep in me sits. And at the very end of the day, I'm just appreciative that they didn't straight up kill PSO2. So no matter what NGS becomes, I'm still content.
Exactly. And we always have that to fall back on moving forward. If NGS just sucks for a little while, we can go back and play PSO2 until it gets better. So I'm cool with it.
So with everything that is going on, off the tip of your tongue, if you had to choose a month, when do you think that PSO2 New Genesis will release? Anamana, you first.
July, August, and that's I think that's being very nice about it.
Cammy?
I think August, and that'll give me some time if Guilty Gear doesn't get delayed to really sink my teeth into that without feeling compelled to play NGS.
You play Guilty Gear?
I'm going to. The Strive looks great.
We're going to have to run some sets.
Oh, absolutely.
Character.
I'm down to learn.
Before we get to a character?
All right.
Cammy first.
I enjoyed May in the beta, so I'm going to play the anchor.
Why am I not surprised? Kazma.
Don't worry about it.
No, yeah, you can't do that.
I don't know who I'm going to take yet.
You know, I mean, I'm legally like required to say chip, so that's just besides the point.
Ooh.
I
Okay,
have
so
no idea what I'm gonna take yet.
I like the anchor so much that they did that Guilty Gear collab, and I'm like, I'm playing Hunter now in PSO2 just to use the anchor.
I feel like
Hunter ended up being really fun. I did the XQ with Hunter Atoll. You can't die. I tried to die. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Really good, and it's not like just you can't die. It's you can't die, and you still deal a lot of damage, which is what gets so frustrating about some other stuff. So
I feel like BlazBlue was when I was like, Arc System Works games aren't for me. Like I've got up here, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and then Alpha 3. That's my jam.
I guess it's
We're
my
all
turn
about
for-
to run some sets then.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
catch
I'm
these
the only
hands.
one that says.
Wait, so
That's why I like my so much.
optimistic time for Krono. You gotta say that.
Dude, I feel like I'm the most optimistic out of everyone. Unless they tell me flat out it's delayed, I'm still riding the bandwagon of June. I'm late May, June, just because of the expectation of it being in spring. So unless I hear like, hey, we're delaying it, I'm still gonna keep to that.
King.
I got May, June. I feel like they're just gonna rush it. Like once they get the second cross, oh wow, I keep saying cross. Once they get the second closed beta done, I feel like they're just gonna rush it out. Mainly because JP, like if it was an American company, I'd be like, yeah, they probably might push it back. But knowing JP, they're huge on crunch times. So if something needs to release at a certain deadline, they're gonna release it. And
That's totally true. It's like they've discovered the technology of a time machine or something. Like,
like
I think
the
it's-
problems that they experience just never happen. It's just like, yeah, you know, we saw what happened, we fixed it, we went back in time and made sure that we didn't have this issue before. So now magically the game was pushed back to June, but somehow
Yeah.
it's coming out.
I went back in time and scolded the past version of myself and kicked him in the gear.
That's like what I think the main thing is. I think like, and obviously all different crunch times and metas in different countries and stuff, but Japan definitely has that discipline and I guess just wanted to be the best kind of thing, putting people doing their best kind of thing, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons why that stuff happens.
I mean,
Yeah.
their company. I mean, a lot of the companies too. I mean, I'm not sure anyone else if you guys follow other games or they're made by other companies, but a big one is like Square Enix. So I play Final Fantasy 14. You'll find that a lot of the like the devs things that they have like this extreme like pride for the game itself. Like I know there was a really big issue for people with the new race that was coming out for Shadowbringers that a lot of the headwear didn't work for the new race. There was a good chunk of the team that just flat out stayed after hours, like off the record, like off the clock, just to make it work for a lot of these classes. Like they just announced it. Everyone's like, hey, look, by the way, we don't have everything working. We know we told you we were gonna have everything working for this race, but some of the team just decided they really wanted it to work, and they took some extra time like off the clock, and they made this work. So like I wouldn't be surprised if they went like hardcore crunch time, because it seems like that's just a thing that happens pretty often.
What I think is the other reasons for why, and I'm sure Cammy probably feels the same way if he's saying August as well, is if we've had one delay, we may have another. And also how much of the content have we actually seen. We can see things in the horizon, different locations, but how are they actually complete as well?
That's true.
For sure.
I'm thinking business side, PSO2 as it stands has got to be profitable. So it doesn't even hurt to delay if you would think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could still fit in stuff and kind of delay and not feel like you're just not releasing a game because the game is already out. You already still have PSO2 going. My only concern is that JP just doesn't have much going on at the moment. They got something coming up, but not a whole lot.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, all I can really say is that time will tell. But as far as us as content creators, we will, I know for our heart, you guys have a lot of passion in what you do. We will just do our part and keep trying to boost the community as much as possible, you know, and do what we can for the game. Now we are nearing the end of our time, as we kind of went over about 30 minutes. I was trying to keep it within like that 30-minute ratio. I felt it was a good time. This is very
Easy.
informative. Like,
But
don't
I'm
get
like
me
double
wrong.
guessed. I think we anticipate that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were talking to
All
Black,
that goodness
I
from each other.
think, King and I were talking to Black after our podcast. I think it was Black. No, I was talking to KOEG about this, and it was like previously we were doing like the little gaming session afterwards, and KOEG was like, you got to let the conversations actually play their course instead of just trying to rush them down to get into a certain time. So I feel like that's kind of the meta we're we're testing out, I guess, at the moment.
Yeah,
this
but
can
then
go
it's uploading.
Oh, upload's fine. Upload's fine.
Oh, so your download speed is like that, huh?
It's 50 up, which isn't a lot, but I think
It's better than mine.
I honestly think that new accounts on YouTube have it slower for some reason, but it's fine. I usually get it out a few hours afterwards, and that's with me taking a break and not working on it.
Yeah, so not saying I'm a podcasting expert or anything, but some of my most memorable conversations were when you go like so far off script it's not even funny and stumble upon something that you're just like, wow, that was really insightful and I learned something.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of why I like talking to you guys, is because like we can have that, especially because you guys are so knowledgeable. I mean, in your own merits, aside from just PSO2 stuff, just the industry itself. So it's cool to kind of have those questions, and then we just go somewhere completely different, and it just kind of adds more information.
Yeah,
to
work off of each other. Exactly.
Exactly.
Sure.
But I mean, of course, if you guys do want to stay after and still talk, I got time. I'm not going to bed till like probably 1 o'clock. But yeah, absolutely.
If you want to make a ship one alt,
it's Piper Day.
I do have a ship one alt.
Are we leveling your ship one alt? Is that what we're doing after this?
Fine, but we got to give him luster. We have to give him luster. I got to get the gunblade.
I mean, I've been known to finance a character or two. I mean, granted, my coffers aren't looking as great as they usually look. They're a little dry these days, but we'll figure it out.
Trading's back. We can give you a dim weapon.
The funniest thing is that my mom plays this game and she's stacked in terms of like wealth. It's hilarious.
That is actually probably like the most wholesome thing I love about this game is I hear like people like, my mom plays this game, I play with my brother. Like, dude, my family is so far disconnected from the games that I play. Like my family knows about like what I do. Like, my mom came in earlier and was just like, oh, you're doing your podcasting, oh, that's super cool or whatever. And like my brother was like, oh, like my buddy said like people usually do merch and stuff like that. Are you going to at some point? I was like, I thought about it. Yeah. He's like, I'd buy a shirt or two. Like, that's cool. They have no idea what PSO2 is in the slightest and have no idea what the stuff I do. But they're supportive, so it's fun. Mm-hmm. So when I hear about family doing this sort of stuff, it's super wholesome for me.
My family is everything but supportive of this. So it's kind of weird when I talk to them. Just like, oh, you still do your gaming thing?
Look who came out of their room.
Yes. And it's just like, yeah, I'm in my room all day because I'm always working. Like, even off stream, I'm constantly working and like putting stuff together and trying to figure out how I'm going to, make this into a career my way. And on top of that, I'm actually working. And I do warehouse work. So I'm lifting packages all day long. And then I got to come here and do this again. And it's mentally and physically exhausting. So sometimes I may seem a little bit tired, or sometimes I may not, talk to people because I'm just like, all right, I need like at least 3 hours of sleep to myself. But it's working out. I can't really complain too much. I've been doing this for 6 years. I finally found my regime with this.
For sure.
But yeah, sorry. So we gotta do our outro, even though I want to keep talking to you guys. But that's all the time we have here for today. And where can we find you two online anytime we want to catch your content?
Krono, go.
I was gonna say, give up to Cammy, dude. Come on.
All right, fine. I'll go. All right. All right. Let's go with youtube.com/CammyCakes Gaming and twitch.tv/CammyCakes.
Okay. Well, you can find me over on YouTube at youtube.com/Krono Katastrophy. Yes, I know it's long. No, I'm not changing it. My Twitch name is also twitch.tv/Krono Katastrophe. And you can also find me over on Twitter at ZenKronos.
There you go.
Zen as in like Zing, is that spelled with an X too? Because otherwise we're gonna
I mean, I thought about it, man. I saw yours and I was like, I could totally rip this off, but nah, it's a Z, dude. It's a Z-E-N.
It's totally fine. And just to let you all know that you can find this podcast on all platforms, live streams, YouTube, Twitter. You can even find us on here at Twitch or even Spotify. But I do want to thank you guys for joining us again. Like I said, this is probably the most informative one so far. Like, we kind of got a lot into the industry talk with this one, and I loved it. Anamana, anything you want to say before we head out for the day?
For anyone that is watching live, we are going to raid someone. I've just prepped that. We'll mention that after we finish recording. But yeah, other than that, if you do want to actually check us out live, we are on twitch.tv if you want to be part of this conversation as well. Definitely jump on that so don't miss out.
Until then, guys, May your guiding light shine. I'm saying that every episode.
Oh, we're gonna all do that. All right, we've all got to do this
Yeah.
now. May your guiding light shine. All
So
right.
it's a thing. It's an outro thing, right? Until
Yeah.
next time, and may your guiding light shine. Y'all ready?
Okay, ready.
I wasn't prepped for this one, but all right, let's go.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Until
Next time, and may your guiding light shine.
Yeah.
All right, you know my PayPal.
All right, yeah. So
Thank
I'll
you.
expect that next.
$1.
Catch us later.
each.